This is a Thunderbolt. This is not a Thunderbolt. This is a Thunderbolt. This individual is also not a Thunderbolt, but don't let that smile fool you. She's a whole lot worse, and we're going to talk about it. Today, we're here to once again talk about one of my favorite MCU movies in a long time, Thunderbolts with asterisks. If you've been following my channel long enough, y'all already know I dropped a full review on this movie. If you haven't seen it yet, go tap in. So in this follow-up video, I really just want to go over the characters more in depth than I had the ability to in that first video. I was running low on time. I could have probably got through all the Thunderbolts, but I wouldn't have given them their just due. Because a lot of the characters in this movie did their thing, even the ones who weren't Thunderbolts, like Val. See, we're going to talk about these characters one by one. Before I get into the video, y'all already know what y'all got to do. Y'all got to pay the price of admission. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all those things. Let's talk about these Thunderbolts and Val. But not before we talk about this Thunderbolt wannabe wish she could be in Taskmaster. Now look, I've been giving Taskmaster a lot of heat, but in reality, she just got hold. It's crazy because I seen articles saying that she had a much bigger role in this movie, but she just got cut. Just thinking about it though, I really don't see where she would fit in the group. Like, I want to give those who are directing and putting this movie together the benefit of the doubt because of course all these characters coming from different walks of life. They don't know each other from nowhere outside of Yelena and Taskmaster, but you know, Taskmaster gets knocked off in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Also, Yelena and Red Guardian, can't forget those two. And of course, they know about each other's reputations, blah, blah, blah. But with all that aside, Taskmaster's character was a waste in this movie. The only thing I could think of as to what happened to Taskmaster's character was that they were cut very last minute. Last minute, they couldn't even scrap her from any of the promotional material. We went into this movie really thinking Taskmaster was about to have a key role, just to be done off in all of 10 minutes. That shit is crazy. You deserve better, but not from me. Take that up with the MCU. The next Thunderbolt I want to talk about is my dog, Bucky Barnes. His character in this movie is very interesting because he starts off as a congressman. He don't last long in the position before he's back on his BS. He's assisting the Thunderbolts and taking out Val and the Sentry towards the end of the movie. That's really all for his character in this movie. He had great action scenes. Like when he boomed the ops I was going after Red Guardian in the gang, that shit was tough to me. Then bro pulled a Kobe talking about job not finished and boom Red Guardian's limo. That shit was tough, but we know that they expect that with the Winter Soldier already. So you're not really moving me that much by showing me this in this movie. Don't get me wrong, I love Bucky, I love the Winter Soldier, but in this movie, I just feel like his role wasn't really as effective as it probably could have been. And again, it's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of different personalities on this group. And you gotta give Bucky some credit, he got added onto the group late. By the time he got added to the group, John, Yelena, Bob, and Ghost already had an established relationship, and they already ran into Red Guardian, who they were building a relationship with in the limo. I will say though is I love seeing Bucky try to integrate himself back into the world post everything that went on in the first 3 phases of the Marvel universe. I'm seeing him in Falcon and Winter Soldier trying to right the wrongs that he made while he was a Winter Soldier to where he is now, where he's struggling to be a congressman, but he's still trying to live a normal life. And at the end of the day, still a good guy. Gotta give him credit for that. He had his own low-key redemption in a way that don't get talked about enough in this movie, but it still wasn't really enough to move me like that. Because it was just that low-key in my opinion. But shout out Bucky though. I was really weak when I seen my son put his arm in the dishwasher. Shit came out the dishwasher pristine as hell. He probably do that on a weekly basis. Alright, now we gotta talk about my favorite Thunderbolt, Yelena Belova. Is it really hard to understand why she'd be my favorite? She has the standout performance of this movie. She was already a character that I've grown to love since her introduction in Black Widow, seeing her in Hawkeye, her interaction with Kate Bishop. I loved it in the show, but this movie just took that up to another level. Seeing her deal with her own personal grief throughout this movie, but also help the group through theirs. Like she's helped Bob through his time and time again, building a genuine relationship between the two that doesn't feel forced at all. Not only that, despite her having to go through her own grief, relive it time and time again, especially when she was in the void. Bob had her reliving that one scene where she set up her mans until she found a way out of it. She proved to be a very effective leader of this group, and I hope she's a leader going forward. It was times in this movie where these people who know Yelena from nowhere were relying on her to bail them out of bad situations. The relationship with Red Guardian in this movie would stand out as well. The conversation they had towards the end of the movie before the void started wilding, that shit almost brought tears to my eyes. You really feel the emotion between these two who haven't spoken to each other in years. All they want to do is be back in each other's lives and have a purpose, which is what they're finding in this movie. I also loved anytime I seen Yelena and Bob on screen together. Obviously, these are two characters that bond over grief. Everybody in this movie is really bonding over grief as a part of the Thunderbolts for real. But with Yelena, it's like she knows the right things to say to him. Even when she says it wrong at the time, she's able to pick back up and get him back on the right track. She knew all the right things to say when bro was in that room, going through it while the void was taking over on the outside. And she led the charge to save him, and the other Thunderbolts followed her in there after knowing her for only a couple of hours at that point. That's real tough, man. I feel like Yelena had some of the best character growth in this movie. More than I even thought she needed for real. Shout out to Florence Pugh for holding it down in this role. And on the topic of Bob, let's just get my son out the way. He was another standout performance in this movie. He literally comes out of nowhere when he's introduced, but his impact is felt as it progresses. This is a character who has a troubled life, and you feel it time and time again through his interactions with the character. When he makes contact with them and they're able to see bits and pieces of their past that brought them to the point where they are today. It's a great way that the movie goes about showcasing trauma. and how it's affecting each and every one of these characters. I mean, granted, Bob doesn't do that with every character, but when he did it to the US agent and John Walker got to looking down that elevator shaft that they just climbed up, that shit had me like, whoa, what are you thinking about doing, gang? I love how they slowly delve into his past and they don't immediately say how he ended up in the room with the Yelena and the others at the beginning of the movie. And I especially loved when even when he got the power that he thought he needed to be someone of value, it still wasn't enough. He still had to deal with the trauma that was inside him. And then when he beats the trauma, it's still not enough because he's becoming the trauma itself. So the other Thunderbolts have to go and save him. It was great to watch. And I love that when he came out of the Void's world, he didn't really remember anything that happened at all. He shouldn't have to remember any of what went down because at the end of the day, nobody really died for real from those actions at least. Everybody that boomed away with that vanishing technique really came back. So it was really all good at the end of the day. And I gotta give the actor Louis Pullman a lot of love in this role. I heard early reports of Steven Yeun playing this role, my boy Mark from Invincible and Glenn from The Walking Dead. While I think he would have killed it, I do appreciate the MCU for bringing in Louis Pullman, who definitely has his own back for sure, but to see him in this role where he's playing damn near 3 different characters, that being Bob, the Sentry, and the Void, you gotta give that man his flowers for that, and execute it on every level in all of them. You can see different personalities in all 3 of these characters. I called it a 3-stage Pokemon evolution, and I wasn't capping when I said that. That boy got range. Alright, enough glazing. It's time to get to the Thunderbolt that I've messed with the least. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even remember where Ghost came from. I didn't even know her association with the MCU. I forgot she was in the Ant-Man movie from the Phase 3 or whatever. But in this movie, Ghost is trash. And granted, she's supposed to be trash. Everybody's supposed to be trash to each other. There's times where John Walker is trash. They don't know each other from nowhere. They were all sent to kill each other, so it's understandable. But Ghost as a character in this movie just feels like she's there a lot of the time. And I watched this movie 2 times, mind you. She didn't move me either time. And yeah, she was there at the very beginning. She was able to build relationships with John Walker, Yelena, and Bob. But she's surrounded by those 3 characters who, in my opinion, played more of a significant role in the movie than she does. So she gets overshadowed there, in my opinion. And then throughout the movie, she don't really get much love for real. Like I said, Bob didn't really communicate with everybody the same way he did with John Walker and Yelena, which is another thing that I feel like she missed out on at the beginning of the movie. We got no more insight on Ghost's past like we did with those 2 characters. And she's with those 2 characters along with Bob. So I immediately wasn't feeling her. And then her personality, the way she was coming off, I just wasn't a fan. I'm not gonna lie. Just felt like she was kind of along for the ride more so than an actual Thunderbolt. But that's just my opinion. Y'all leave your thoughts on Ghost in the comments. Let me know how y'all feeling about her. Moving on to the comedic relief of the movie, we have the Red Guardian. Shout out David Harbour. This man has range. If you know, you know. The Red Guardian and Hopper from Stranger Things are 2 different characters. Now, Red Guardian already had me weak in the Black Widow movie, but he takes it up to a whole other level in this one. As you know from the beginning of the movie, he's looking for a purpose similarly to how Yelena is. He tries to capture her, saying that his life is full with meaning and blah, 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 blah. But really, we know it's not. My son Loki doing Uber Eats on the side. But in this movie, he's able to find that purpose, and he wants to instill that purpose in everybody else in the group, including Yelena. He wants to keep this thing going as long as humanly possible so he can feel the feeling of saving people again. I just loved his inclusion, and his conversations with Yelena hit every time. I also loved his interaction with Bucky when they were driving the truck into the Avengers Tower. They got to talking about the different super soldier serums they took back in the day. And then the funniest scene when my boy made that Molotov in the limo and threw it back on the armored truck for it to do absolutely nothing. I love how this movie leaned on the fact that they're all supposed to be losers, bro. That shit had me dead. But yeah, loved Red Guardian. I'm glad him and Yelena are back on good terms now. My son really trying to keep him from getting copyrighted, so I gotta give him credit for that too. To round out the Thunderbolts, we gotta talk about John Walker, aka the US Agent. Now, I posted on TikTok the other day about an alternate storyline for John Walker where he was supposed to be the main villain in this movie. Val was supposed to implant a Hulk bomb in him somehow. He was supposed to turn into another variant of the Hulk. I didn't like that idea though. I really liked his character portrayal in this movie. John Walker we get here is a know-it-all. He's brash as hell. He's the group leader when he's not. When you get him vulnerable enough, you see that this is a guy who, similarly to the rest of the cast, just wants a chance at redemption. And I'm not talking about him feeling no type of way about what he did to Dude back in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. He definitely does not. I just mean a chance for him to redeem his name and make a better man of himself. At this point, he's lost his family and his reputation, so he really don't got nothing to lose. I just appreciate how he ended up buying into everything that the Thunderbolts were trying to do. And all of them did, right? But it was just good to see John remind himself that he does have things out there worth living and fighting for. If this movie did nothing else, it made me rock with John Walker's character a lot more. Because Lord knows, if Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that man was trash. Shout out to the character development. I like zero time to talk about Val, but I really don't got much to say. Trash is trash at the end of the day. I did appreciate seeing that flashback, giving us a little bit more insight on her character. That shit was cute, not gonna lie. You assembled this team of people throughout all these different mediums in the MCU up until this point, just to have them try to kill each other because shit was going left for you. And then you made Bob relive his own trauma so you could use him as a weapon for your own nefarious deeds. That shit is crazy. Try to make it up by calling this group the New Avengers. Hell no. They the Thunderbolts with an asterisk.